Before the headlines, before the outrage, here's what actually happened.
Backlash to that double-tap airstrike near Venezuela on September 2nd. 2 people survived the initial attack, but Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth yesterday told me he did not personally see the survivors and had moved on to another meeting while Admiral Frank Bradley ordered a second strike that killed all on board. President Trump tonight.
So to be clear, you support the decision to kill survivors after the
No, I support the decision to knock out the boats, and whoever's piloting those boats, most of them are gone, but whoever are piloting those boats, they're guilty of trying to kill people in our country.
And then the media entered.
We can fully expect that these legacy media outlets would use every occasion to make the Trump administration look bad.
Here we go. Hoax claim number 1. The kill everybody fan fiction.
An attack. A news report said Hegseth's order going in was to kill everybody, which, according to his former co-worker and former Superior Court judge, is a war crime.
This is an act of a war crime, ordering survivors who the law requires be rescued instead to be murdered.
Cute story. Here's reality.
About the second strike, I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with 2 people.
Second, I watched that first strike live. It occurs, so I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Hoax claim number 2. The boat was full of innocent fishermen.
Here's the thing. There's no way they know who was on these boats. They could just be fishermen.
Why are we blowing out of the water and killing people in boats with outboard motors, some of which aren't even pointed towards the United States, let alone verified to have drugs on them?
The media doesn't even believe these bad hombres are running drugs on the high seas. They think it's a bunch of bachelors on a fishing trip.
Just be fishermen, Jim? I'm not sure, since the average boat cost of these drug transshipment vessels about $250,000. Do you think they're regular fishermen, Jim? And Maddow, who I don't really like to criticize, because what's the point? What's the point? There's no point. Whatever Trump goes, she's not going to like it. And she says, boats with outboard motors. No. These are high-speed boats that go 90 miles an hour. This just shows you people don't know anything, all right? Not even pointed to the United States. Well, how would you know that? You have a GPS on this? MS now? Not even pointed. So I guess the boat has to be pointed before the action can take it. This is so absurd, okay? And not verified to have drugs on them. How would you know that? How in God's name would you know that? This is all classified information that U.S. intel gets about the cartel smuggling routes. How would Rachel Maddow know it wasn't verified? My God, it's so stupid, it's stunning.
Let's move to hoax claim number 3. This was a war crime.
The commander of Southern Command, every senior officer in that command, and all of the servicemen and women who serve there in the position of potentially being held liable for murder or war crimes until the statute of limitations on those matters runs. And I don't even know what it would be.
Who did it? From the Secretary of Defense to the Admiral to the people who actually pulled the trigger should be prosecuted for a war crime for killing these 2 people.
I agree with Frankie Valli.
I think it's very possible there was a war crime committed. Of course, for it to be a war crime, you have to accept the Trump administration's whole construct here.
That we're at war.
Which is we're in armed conflict at war with the drug gangs. Of course, they've never presented the public with the information they've got here. But it could be worse than that, right? If that theory is wrong, then it's plain murder.
Relax. Try reading the law first.
Barbaric cartels are injecting billions of dollars of narcotics into our country. causing death and violence and addiction. That's not a war crime, but stopping them is a war crime. Lethal operations like this go through layers of lawyers. From the War Department, state, national security, everything goes up and down the chain of command and gets signed off on because we value life in America. The United States has conducted strikes all over the globe like this for decades. But for some reason, when President Trump does it, it's a crime.
What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
First strike. I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment.
Platform it, repeat it, moralize it. Congratulations. Hoax achieved. Top 5 left YouTube channels like CNN, MS Now, etc. put out 85 videos with Hegseth and 20 videos on boat strike in their titles. That is why.
This week, the White House launched a new public database called the Media Bias Portal to expose fake news. A press release about the database says it catalogs the avalanche of lies, deliberate distortions, and manufactured hoaxes churned out by activist journalists. The administration also launched a website that lists the journalists and their news outlets' articles alongside what the White House calls the actual facts.
You know, all they're doing is sharing the actual facts of the case. They're not threatening anybody. They're not telling people to not report the other thing or whatever. I mean, they're not using coercion in any sense. They're just telling their side of the story. And I don't know. I found it very enormously valuable. I could see
that they made it. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the...
Turns out the war crime was just bad reporting. If you're tired of media fan fiction, follow TFN. We fact-check the people who pretend they don't need it.